Welcome, Drink with James, episode 73, live from the LA Athletic Club. We are at the LA Influencer Conference. We got Evelina here. We got a bunch of people in the audience. Let's hear it, people. That's good. That's good. Okay. That's the biggest applause I've ever got in my life. Evelina is incredible. If you don't follow her, you're a fucking idiot. You should do that now. But let's start off as we start many of these things with your journey from being a young girl growing up in Russia to sitting on the stage. Not you don't have to do the whole thing, but like how did you start out?
So I was born in Russia, but I grew up in Moldova, which is a small country in Eastern Europe. It's between Ukraine and Romania because nobody knows, which is
Who's
fine.
even heard of it? Raise
No.
your hand.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So I grew up there, and then I moved to the States after high school to go for college. I got accepted in university, and I was doing political science, and then I transferred to architecture. And in 2010, where like social media sort of started emerging, like now it's like this huge powerhouse, and like people go into social media with the business plans and these teams, and like we just kind of started making content. We didn't know why we were doing it. So back in 2010, I was in college. I was bored. I had just moved to South Carolina, and I'm European, and for me it was such a big culture shock,
tough.
and I didn't
That's
have
That's a tough
and
transition.
I just needed an outlet to kind of express myself and do something. So I started a YouTube channel, and I found YouTube, and I was like, why are people making videos? Should I just post it to Facebook? Like I was so confused. So I made a video, and it got like 30 views overnight, and I was like, I was so excited. I'm like, 30 people that I don't know watch my video, and then I'm like, oh, well, probably was me just refreshing all night. So,
What was your first video?
my first video was 5 products that I hate, and it was filmed on my MacBook, and it's long gone. I still have some of my old videos, but not my first ones, because
Okay.
I just feel like when you first start doing video content, like you don't. How do I explain this? Like you don't know how to talk. You just kind of go and like, do I like talk like normally, or do I create this persona? Like, do I talk more properly? Like you wanna put your best face forward. So like my old videos were like cringe central, like so bad, and my accent was really bad too. So like looking back, it was. But anyway, fast forward.
My
Yeah.
first Instagram photo is a shirtless photo of me taken from up here.
Oh yeah.
So it's
Oh,
probably
yeah.
not as bad as that.
Oh, I've deleted some interesting things.
So the first ones were a little cringeworthy, but you just kept jamming.
Right. So then, the way that I got started, it's interesting to see how much the growth patterns have changed as to what's popular, as to what people are searching. So back in 2010, people were all about celebrity tutorials. Everybody wanted to look like celebrities. Now, honestly, like nobody really cares unless they're just gonna see a photo. People want to see like certain looks, whereas before, how do you get the Taylor Swift curls, and how do you get the Kim Kardashian makeup, and how you get this? So I just like try to make videos that people are searching, and they did really well. And then I started doing my own stuff that I wanted to do, because I didn't care how Taylor Swift curled her hair at all, but I just made one, and it got like 500,000 views, and it brought me some viewership. So then I just started kind of doing my own thing.
And how long did you have to? How long was it until like you started picking up a good amount of traction on YouTube?
So back then I didn't have anything to compare it to, because it's like, oh, like numbers are such a tricky thing where like you see somebody, there's always somebody bigger than you, and there's always somebody that's doing better than you, where it's back then like there's only maybe 2 people that were like at the top, and everyone else was just kind of the same. So even when I got 10,000 views on a video and I had like 5,000 subscribers, I was like, that is insane. That is crazy. Instagram didn't even exist back then, so It was like crazy. So any growth that happened from that point was just like a huge surprise, and like it was crazy. So I want to say it was like 2.5 years to get to like 100,000 subscribers, and then from there I think it went to like, I don't know, almost 1 million in another 2 years.
Oh wow. And I don't know as much. I think we're doing more and more YouTube at Fohr, which hopefully means we get to work with you more and more often. But it is interesting just how I think it is going to be like the transformative thing in this space is that I just don't know that images are going to matter in 5 years. You know, you look at your Facebook feed, the largest social network in the world, like, you know, huge amount of data on what people want, and every single post is a video that they're serving you. They're never really serving you photos anymore. So I think it's you know, the change is coming to video, and you start to see fashion bloggers now like scrambling to like start YouTube channels.
Well, the change has happened.
Yeah.
The future is here.
The future's here. You heard it here first. The future is already here. But it's a different world, you know, and I think for brands it's confusing because it's so expensive. And it's so expensive because it works so well. But, you know, you started out, you were doing makeup tutorials, right? How have you kind of expanded that? And how has YouTube just, again, 'cause I don't understand it as much, how has it changed in the last few years other than getting more competitive?
I like wanted to mention, there's so many things I wanted to say and I kind of lost my train of thought. I think the reason why, so for me, I've been doing YouTube for so long, right? And then people were telling me you should get a blog, and I finally got a blog, and like it really wasn't my thing. And I'm still kind of not sure what I'm gonna do about my blog, but like YouTube is really like where my main content is at. And I've had this fight with brands for I don't know how many years now, and mainly like high fashion brands. Mainly in the fashion industry, people want to work with somebody they consider more of a chic platform. So I guess up until, I want to say last year, YouTube wasn't considered a chic platform. However, companies like makeup brands that have huge budgets, they have way bigger budgets than your Balmain and H&M and anybody that's like doing campaign with bloggers. Like makeup brands have been on the train. They make so much money and they also put a lot of money on it. So where I kind of steered off in a different direction, I started with makeup and then I decided I wanted to be different. So I wanted to do fashion on YouTube. So I completely stopped doing any like beauty stuff on YouTube and I only did fashion. Later to realize that YouTube isn't really like the best fashion platform. I think it's moving in that direction. I think we can see more of the Macy's and the Kohl's and the Forever 21s kind of jumping on working with YouTubers, as opposed to most people really, they just want like a beautiful editorial image and they want to work with a blogger. I think why YouTube is such a powerful tool is because, first of all, there's a link that you can click and you're also talking to a person. You know, they directly fall in love with your personality. It almost becomes, to a lot of people, it doesn't matter what they're talking about, whether they're showing you what to wear, or what they ate in the morning, or what they did. They just kind of want to see what you're up to, and they want to be entertained for that 10, 15, 20 minutes, however that long YouTube video is. And the reason it's so engaging, and also they open the description bar and they can click everything. So you can post an Instagram image and it's great, but most people aren't realistically going to go to click a link in the bio or going to copy paste a link that's unclickable, whereas on YouTube is a very powerful tool, and it's like a real life infomercial. Imagine like if they had infomercials on TV and you could click the screen on TV to go exactly where they're telling you to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's massively powerful, and you know, even as I see like fashion bloggers starting it, they're like, I'm getting 10x the click-throughs on my YouTubes than I do on, you know, my Insta stories. It's just insane how much power there is there. But I think it's so much more intimidating because like everybody, essentially everyone in the world who owns an iPhone has taken a photo with their iPhone, right?
Right.
But so few people have held their phone in front of their face and talked to it for 10 or 15 minutes, you know, that it is fairly intimidating. So, you know, how, you know, if you're someone who's just getting into it, how do you do it? It doesn't seem like, you know, it seems so much more difficult to get into.
Well, I know there's a lot of people in this room that are just getting started, and the best advice I can give you is do it, and do it now. Do it as soon as you can, because video is everything. I love blogs, but I mainly watch videos, and also all of these platforms are severely pushing videos. Like Instagram, we just had a meeting with them, and I've kind of noticed like a bit of a stunt in growth in my account. So we met up with them and like, hey, what's happening? What's the reason? And there's been so many changes in the algorithm. And they were saying like we're favoring accounts that are using all of our products, which is some of their newer products is the Instagram Live, Instagram Video, because there's so many millions of photos pushed through every day. The algorithm is not really pushing those. If how many weird like slime videos do you see in your recommended? Like it's always these little short content videos. Awesome. And they said that no, I know, and they said nobody's really doing video well on Instagram, and like highly recommended that I start like a little series that is only exclusive to Instagram. So that way they kind of, they will push your account. So video is everything. And now I know that it's a very intimidating thing to do to some people because not everybody's just like so outspoken and can, you know, talk for 20 minutes about something. But I think that there's an audience for everyone. So everyone might not like me because I don't know, I have an accent and maybe I'm just not, I don't know. Everybody has their own little niche of what they find interesting. So I think just turn on a camera, you have a story, you have something about you that's different. If you are brave enough to post a photo, you should be able to. And also remember that you can edit anything out. You're not actually speaking in front of thousands of people. You're speaking alone in a room. So anything you say can be edited out. So like that's why I feel like it's so intimidating to people to do a video. And I always tell them that.
Yeah. And how do you think about video on Instagram? Because it's 90 seconds or 60?
I think it's 60.
It's 60. Right, so YouTube video, if your normal YouTube video is 10 or 15 minutes long, yeah, what kind of content are you posting on Instagram video?
So I'm not.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to, because the main thing what a lot of YouTubers do and even bloggers do, we create a video for YouTube and then we do a short little teaser, post it on Instagram and direct people to YouTube. So what I've been told is that you have this audience that's here to look for your content and you're not serving them. You lose them when you put a little teaser to bring them to somewhere else. Why not utilize that video platform to put something just for them where they can come back and watch this video on Instagram? And it's only going to get bigger. They're only developing it. I'm sure they're going to come out with a way to like scroll through it or rate it or dislike it. Like it's only going to get bigger from now. Now it's like a very primal sort of state of it, and if you're not hopping on it now, always be a first adopter of everything. It's very important.
And I mean, you look at your Explore page, to your point, and the Explore page is just video, really. And that is because Instagram is pushing it, but like, those are the times to get on it because it's really hard to grow, and it's a lot easier to grow if the platform pushes you.
Exactly.
And if you're doing things that are important to the platform, you're probably more likely to get your content posted. Yeah. And video is just, it really is taking over everything. You think about, we've been talking a lot about Insta stories today, just how much more engaging they are than Instagrams now. And I think like, what can we learn from that? It's just like people want video, they want to hear your voice, they want to see you, they want to see what you're doing.
Exactly.
Are you, going back to YouTube, so are you still doing just fashion? Have you gone back to doing more beauty? Because I know so you started beauty, you started doing fashion, and where are you at now?
So it's interesting because I've had like a bit of a journey trying to figure out what I really want to do. Because I'm really not like a super glamorous makeup fashion girl. Like I'm not. I actually have to like try. And most days I'm pretty simple. I wear jeans. I don't wear a lot of makeup. So for me to do all that, it's like, doesn't feel as authentic. So my channel has always been more like personality, advice, and this and that. But I think I've really been missing out on so many different audiences by just only focusing on one thing. So by doing more lifestyle, doing more a little cooking, doing health tips, doing fashion, doing everything, you're tapping into all these audiences that otherwise wouldn't watch your channel if you were only talk about fashion. So I think as of right now, I want to do a little bit of everything and figure out like a good way to do it. Because I mean, sometimes I do like to wear makeup. I'm not the person to do crazy, insane, smoky eyes or anything, but there's also girls like me that only like to do simple makeup, so I can speak to them.
Right. And it's interesting you were talking about like YouTube not being like a chic platform. I think that like one of the biggest issues we have at Fohr is finding YouTubers that can work with luxury brands. It is so hard.
Yeah.
And it's such a gap in the market right now because there's so many super chic Instagrammers and bloggers that luxury brands want to work with, and they want to work with YouTubers. It's just they're having a hard time finding the right people. So it is, there's not a lot of like big opportunities left in this space. Sometimes it feels like, but that does feel like one of them. And I'm sure, I think that it served you really well that you did move away from just doing makeup tutorials into fashion, into lifestyle, because those brands can look at it and I think it's easier for them to say, oh, okay, like we can work with this person.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to add, and this is what I learned, because I used to get really discouraged over that. I wanted to work with the Chloe and the Chanel and the Dior's of the world, and I wasn't getting that. I was working with Macy's, which they're fantastic, but it's like you see everyone else doing it, so automatically you just kind of want to, well, am I not good enough? Why can't I do that? I get this much engagement, I should be able to do that. And I think having worked with a few of those luxury brands like Dior this year, and we've done a few car commercials and stuff like that, you've done the campaign and then you go right back into doing your content, and like people don't, it doesn't really, it adds something but not really. I'm trying to explain that basically you don't have to work with the absolute top luxury of brands. It's not like the biggest goal ever. There's brands that are like mid-tier brands that are sold in Sephora, that are sold in so many different retailers that have fantastic budgets, that can add to your content, they can sustain what you're doing. You don't have to necessarily work with Louis Vuitton to feel like you're important and to feel like your content matters. Like for me, I would love to work with Louis Vuitton, but it doesn't bother me. If they don't think I'm chic enough, or if it doesn't fit with their brand, that's fine. I'll gladly work with Macy's, and I'll gladly work with Steve Madden, and that's fine. That's good with me.
And then you'll buy that Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is in some ways even better.
Exactly. It's fine.
I think that's a really good point. It's something we've talked about. Like we had a speaker talk earlier about, she'll interview people that she's an agent, and they'll be like, "What are your goals?" And they're like, "I want to work with Dior," and she's just like, "Whatever." Like, that's not super interesting to me. And I think that's probably also not the normal consumer who isn't shopping in those places. It's a pretty small part of the market that is able to afford that stuff. Especially on YouTube, where there's younger audiences. I don't think it probably doesn't make as much sense.
Right. Well, also, it's an interesting point you bring out there that not everybody can afford it. And the way that I've seen the blogosphere kind of grow and evolve, it's kind of, you see some of the pioneer girls like Sincerely Jules and Ami, Song of Style, like they started doing these really cool outfits, wearing Zara and like styling and doing, and as more they grew, the more high-end everything got, and they're still constantly growing, and people look at it as this like very inspirational, aspirational thing that they just want to look at, or maybe one day afford a few things. But there's still the majority of people want to see something a little bit more simple, a little bit more down to earth. It makes sense. I'm not knocking down on anything. I just think that you don't have to be like everyone else where you're only wearing Dior and Chanel and Louis Vuitton and you're flying all over the world. You can still create really cool content and appeal to the masses that just don't do that. Yeah. So I think there's something for everyone.
I remember having this conversation with Claire from Hey Claire. It was like, did you struggle as you made more money personally, and maybe you started buying Tom Ford makeup, but like, are you using that in your video? And she was like, no, like, because my customer isn't buying that, so like I still need to find ways to like make drugstore makeup like make sense and be really great. And like, that I think so often bloggers get a bunch of money and then they walk away from what made them popular. If you got popular because you could make Old Navy look great, it's pretty easy to make like Celine, Chloe, and Louis Vuitton look good. Like that's that doesn't take a talent really. And I think people forget what like value they're providing, which is a lot of like what we've been talking about today, which is just like what value are you providing to your followers? And so I'll throw that question back to you. Like, what do you think? Why do you think people are following you? Not to put you on the spot.
No, it's a good question. I mean, honestly, sometimes I don't know. I'm like, why are you following me? Um, I want to say like, for me, I personally, I have nothing against. I think it's like, you know, what the stuff we just saw. I think it's extremely beautiful, and I follow stuff like this. I love getting inspired by beautiful images and beautiful styling, and I think it's so necessary, and it provides diversity. I think uh, for me, I don't necessarily do that. I think my photos get like get more traction if just an iPhone photo, because people like what I'm doing now, or like they're more interested in like me being goofy or something like that. So I think what for me, it's like they just follow like my personality, or they entertained in some way. Like that's that. And I do a lot of creative things too. Like I like to do more crazy stuff with video, and I hire some really talented videographers that help me just bring my visions to reality. But a lot of times my most simple videos do really well, like how to dress yourself skinny, or like I made like a shuffle video and that one just got so many views. So things like that. I think people just get a coffee and like turn on YouTube and just kind of relax for like a little while.
And you know, you do have such a big personality, and you know, you can see that in your Instagrams and your Insta stories and your YouTubes. You know, you said that that's probably a big part of your growth. How much of that do you have to like turn on? You know, when you like hold that Insta story thing down and you're like, what's up? You know, like is it something that is that just you, or you like living that life at 100 every day? Or do you feel like I need to like, this is part of my brand and I need to like be super excited here?
I feel like my online personality is me, but definitely if I'm about to turn on my phone, so let's say I'm like talking to you right now, if I were to turn on my phone, hey guys, so I'm here at this conference, how's it going? You know, you see like the difference in tone? It's like a big, it's a little bit, I'm still like, incredible. Still me, yeah, there's a button like, so yeah, I think sometimes I get really frustrated when I film, because like, let's say if I have something going on in my life and I don't really want to turn on the camera right now and just like talk about 5 tips to improve your fashion for fall, or like, you know, I'm like having really something on my heart that I don't want to do that. It's really hard, and I usually won't film that day. But when I'm in a really good mood, it just kind of comes out naturally, and yes, I do have to just like work up.
Yeah. And how, you know, we've been talking just like nuts and bolts a lot today about Instagram and how often to post and things like that. What's normal on YouTube? I don't know. Like, are you doing once a week? Is it twice a month? Is it every day? What are you doing there?
Okay, so we talked about consistency, and I'm not that great at that. But ideally, you want to be very consistent. You want to post once or twice a week. Some people post every day. It works differently for different audiences. For me, it's more quality over quantity. So I won't post for a while till I post something I really, really like. But I think Instagram is the same thing. I used to post like 3 times a day. I was excited about everything, and I would just be like, oh, that's a cute chandelier, snap, post. Where it's now, it's like, there's so much more thought put in everything, and it's still fun, but it's become less fun since it's grown so much, and then there's all these people that have, you know, professional everything. You can't really, you know, just post anything out there. There's a lot of pressure, but on YouTube it's important to post as often as you can, and I can tell you more about like the algorithm if anybody's interested.
Is there a YouTube algorithm?
Oh yeah.
What's that like?
So it changes all the time, and then it kind of hits us all of a sudden, and then we have to figure out how to adapt to it. So let's say like you're getting a good, consistent, like 200,000 views a video in a week, right? Is it working? Okay. In like a week, and then the algorithm changes and it drops down, and then we all scramble and try to figure out the algorithm again and like what happens. So in the past, it used to be short videos that were favored, and like 2-minute videos real quick, pushes it to the description bar. Now it changes, like the longer your videos are, it judges it by watch time. So if you have, the more watch time you have on your channel, the more they kind of push it. So we always have to adapt. So like now I'm seeing a lot more 30-minute, 40-minute, an hour videos. A lot of people are doing podcasts. Podcast is like a huge thing on YouTube right now. So like they just sit down with like a mic'd up thing and just talk for a while, and YouTube promotes that. So it's always changing, and you always have to adapt to it.
And have you, you know, in general, are you still getting, you know, obviously you said that Instagram growth is slowed down, which is something literally everyone today has said. Is that the same on YouTube? Or, once you kind of figure out what the algorithm is doing, are you able to like hit your growth again?
Yeah, as long as you post consistently. If I don't post for a while, then I notice like a drop down, and then when I start posting again, like back to back to back, and like a few videos do really well, then it goes back up. So you have to post. If you don't post, it's like it drops down like immediately. YouTube won't push it to subscription boxes, and that's another thing. Like you can have 5 million subscribers. It doesn't mean that it's going to go to 5 million subscription boxes. If you don't upload, it just kind of goes to like recommended, and it like hides your videos. So it's very, very important to upload as much as possible and stay consistent. And even though I'm not that good at following that, I'll tell you so you don't fall off.
So what is the, we've heard today from, we had Erica, who's obviously very like professional photos, everything like that. Michelle was talking about how she just does iPhone photos. You were saying how iPhone photos do better on your Instagram.
I do a little bit of both.
Yeah, but on your YouTube, what's the setup there? Like if you were wanting to start doing videos, does the camera matter? Does like having a good setup matter there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think when we first started, like DSLR was like even such a luxury. It wasn't even like a thing. We were just shooting either on digital cameras on our iMacs, but as everybody's kind of grown, it's important to up your production value. Now, you don't have to have a team and all this crazy stuff. I shoot most of my videos, I shoot by myself. I have a Canon 5D Mark III, which is great, and then I use the 1.2 millimeter lens, and then I have a 85 millimeter lens, which is like a lot, it's really beautiful for portraits. A great camera if you're just getting started on YouTube is the Canon 70D, because it has really great autofocus. So you can literally set up your light, put your camera, and it'll just autofocus. The only thing I recommend is getting some kind of mic to it, because the autofocus will just keep doing like it's like a little calibrating sound. And it's so annoying, and people hate that. Canon 70D, and then for lighting, just get like a $200 Diva light from Amazon. It's like a ring light, and it's perfect, and or stay in front of a window. That's it. It's like the most basic setup. You don't really need to. But sometimes I have like a videographer come in, set up huge studio lights and like a red camera, and like we do stuff like that. But that's not, people don't care.
Yeah. So it's similar to Instagram in that like people are looking for authenticity.
If they're gonna watch a phone Instagram story, they're gonna watch a simple video, as long as you just make sure like your video isn't tucked and you're not like muffled or low. They won't forgive that.
So good audio. And what are some of the growth tactics? Like what works? Obviously, creating good content, being consistent, all that. But like, what are some other things that you can do that work to grow your YouTube following?
Well, I think so. Everything has changed except what I think has stayed consistent to when I got started. Look up what's getting views. What are people searching right now? And not necessarily like, oh, do people like post about Christmas, or do people post? So right now, like the way the YouTube is working, like everything is very sensational. Clickbait. Don't do clickbait. I don't do clickbait, but I should probably start. So even when people do a makeup review, it's like everything is like, wow, you won't believe this. Like everything has just become like very sensational. So in a way, you should still be unique, obviously. I'm not saying you should do everything that everyone else is doing, but in order to get a new audience, just study what's out there that's like getting a lot of traction, that's being recommended to you. Look at the top channels. What are they uploading? Makeup reviews are huge right now, but what are the people that are successful doing it? What is it that's unique about them, and why is it so popular? So just study those trends and like try a few things, put up a few trendy things and see how it goes. And then once you get a little bit of an audience, just do more of your, but always more of your things, but always put your unique twist on it. So if you want to do, something like when Fenty Beauty released their line, it's like people that were only getting like 10,000 views a video, all of a sudden got 500,000 views just for doing a Fenty Beauty review. So any big releases, anything like that that's getting very high SEO, it's great for growth.
Yeah, YouTube's, it's interesting because so much of it is search-based, probably. right? Like
It's recommended based too.
Yeah.
So you can go on your YouTube and they'll recommend you channels that you've never heard of, content that you've never searched, and you're just like, oh, like a baby giraffe giving birth. Let me click. Or like, right. Well, not a baby giraffe. A giraffe giving a baby.
Yeah, it's like starting to
You know what I mean? No, well, you know what I mean. It's like I'll be watching, and then they always recommend me these like new girls, and it's based on like the engagement that video got. So, you know, if it get people are liking it, they're seeing it has a lot of thumbs up and it has a lot of comments, people start pushing it to recommend it. So that's I always like I never understood like how bloggers are able to grow so quickly without being on YouTube, because you can grow so quickly being on YouTube just by the recommended video thing. You have like such a platform where like you can just be discovered. So YouTube is great for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think all of you should start one. I mean, it really does seem like it's, you know, video certainly is going to be the future. And if you're not learning now and you're not starting to build a following now, I think it's going to be pretty difficult in a few years to stay competitive.
Well, I also think, because a lot of people are saying that it's too late to start a channel because there's so many people now, but I'm seeing new people pop up all the time and they're kicking my ass. You know, they're just like popping up all of a sudden, like huge, crazy traction. And you never know, because people are always looking for somebody new to watch. People are always looking for something different. There's always the new generation of influencers. They're just gonna come and like take us down. So don't think like, oh, there's too many now, I can't like jump in and get my own piece of cake. Just
right. Especially on YouTube, it's just like because you're like, people are just, I do think you get in it. I mean, God knows I've been in. I mean, I watched like 30 minutes of a man detailing a car the other day. I had no idea why I was watching it. I was like, here I am. You know, I don't know how I got here.
Right.
But here I am. So that could be you. You could be that video.
Right.
Well, I want to make sure that we have some time for people to ask you questions. Right? So, are we going to keep the questions in the video?
Yeah, but
I'll repeat them. Okay, so you all ask questions, I'll repeat them, and she will answer them. Make sense? Okay, let's shoot. Yeah. So, have you noticed YouTube favoring videos with a high production budget and value? And question 2 is, if you were starting out now, would you start a YouTube channel or would you focus on Instagram video?
So I think there's been a big shift on YouTube. We called it the adpocalypse this year, because a lot of big brands dropped out of YouTube because there's been like a scandal. Somebody on Wall Street Journal.
PewDiePie did that thing.
Yeah, PewDiePie, and then the Wall Street Journal wrote this big article how advertisers have ads on videos that are inappropriate, like for advertisers and all that kind of stuff. So some of the bigger brands like Coca-Cola and P&G, and which is a huge player, just pulled out of YouTube. So YouTube is just kind of like, oh my God, what do we do? What do we do? So they demonetized everybody pretty much. Anybody that's like cursing in their videos, anybody talking about politics, anybody talking about any kind of controversial topics like mental health, or which they consider controversial. So if you like title your video talking about my depression, you're gonna get demonetized. I don't know why, I didn't do it, but so they've definitely become a lot more strict, I guess. I have never had a video demonetized because my channel's pretty PG. I don't really swear in my videos. I never have, not about to start now. So beauty, fashion channels haven't been affected by this, but I think people that do like the more edgy channels, like the comedy, the more social, like political commentary channels really got hit by that. So I think beauty, if anything, they're pushing these content creators even more and more and more, just to show like, hey, look, we do have people that don't swear, and we do have people that.
And then this question 2 is like, if you were starting today, would you focus on Instagram video or YouTube, or would you say both?
I would say both. YouTube is still going to be YouTube. It's not going to go anywhere. But Instagram, I think it's important to be an early adapter with everything. One of my biggest regrets, honestly, is not jumping on Vine. Because like, it kind of went over my head, and I'm like, oh, another social media, so annoying. I'm telling you, if there's a new social media that comes out and you find out, you have to sign up for it today. You want to be the first person to use it, the first person to promote it, the first person to start getting followers. When you jump on it 2 to 3 years later, it's too late. So if you can do it today to help your brand, to help grow in any way possible, do it. Do both.
Absolutely. More questions? So, question 1. How do you find your music? because you know, yeah, YouTube's really good about pulling that stuff down. So how do you find music, and can you use music that's copyrighted? And two, are you considering getting on Twitch?
So it's a great question. So music and on YouTube and just copyright in general has been insane, and I think Instagram's about to do that too, because you've noticed people use like a lot of popular music. Also, to your note that you see bigger YouTubers using big songs. So sometimes, anytime you see that, the video is demonetized. Even though you see ads on it, on the back end, the artist is getting paid. So the new system that they implemented, before they used to just take your video down or mute it. Now it's like, oh, okay, I see you used our song. You can still have your video up, but we're gonna collect all the revenue from this video. So on the back end, it's taken off. So for me, there's certain videos, like my Coachella video is probably my proudest video I've ever made on YouTube. I honestly didn't care if I got demonetized or not. I just wanted to like pick a song that was amazing and worked flawlessly with the edit. So sometimes I don't care. And certain videos don't really make that much money, but you want to have your account in good standing. So what I do, I go on SoundCloud, check my SoundCloud, I have so much stuff there. So I just go to more like obscure small artists that aren't signed with a big label, just talk to them, and then they just say they're so happy to send you music, and there's so many like that. And then if you go on like some daily vloggers, like there's so many, and kind of note like the music that they're using, it's always going to be linked in their description. So just click the links and go to their SoundClouds and just pull some songs from whatever. So also I get a lot of artists email me. Another good one, if you write up Monster Cat, so they're a label, and they basically gave me permission to use their entire library, and they have over like 80 artists. So any of that, you can reach out to them and use it as well.
So what has been the biggest change since you were at 50 or 100K to where you are now?
There's so many, but I guess since we're at a brand conference, I would say what's the biggest difference with working with brands. Before it used to be like, okay, so here's our product, if you could just include it, and this is the budget, and then and that's it. You include it, they send you a check, you're good. Then it went from that to like, hey, so this is our product, and then here's a few talking points, or like something that we would prefer that you mention, and here's that. Then from that, it went to here's talking points. We need to see the video first. Then you go to a back and forth with the edits. Then sometimes they don't like it. You have to reshoot the whole thing. And it has to be, like some brands have requirements, it has to be within the first minute or last minute. And then they also want to know what the thumbnail looks like and the description. So basically what I'm saying, it used to be a lot more simple, a lot more lenient, when they're just like, yeah, just do your thing, you know what you're doing. And now it's like, here's this and this and this and this. And I can see why it happened that way, but it's just interesting to see how much that has shifted. Because before, they just tell you they want to work with you, and you have absolute full control of whatever you want to do.
On our end, like we talked so much more in depth with the brands ahead of time to understand exactly what they want and what they don't want, because reshooting YouTube videos is A, huge pain in the ass, and B, can be expensive for everyone involved. So we really try and like make sure we understand that, because we were hitting that more and more. Brands being like, no, need to reshoot it. Like, don't, it's not gonna work. Which is really just bad for everyone. Well, thank you. Let's give her a round of applause. That was amazing. Thank you so much.